Aggression on Gamers by Jeffrey, Brandon, and Junwei. In 2017, there are more than 1 billion gamers in the world. People tend to have a lot of problems when they act out aggressively when it comes to games. Therefore, we conducted a study to look into these effects that games have on its billions of users all around the world. To find participants, we use a randomizer which randomly selects participants from our class. Here we have an example of what the aggression questionnaire would look like after being answered. The aggression questionnaire scale consists of 4 factors ranked from 0 to 1, with 1 being the maximum. The 4 factors are physical aggression, verbal aggression, hostility, and anger. For this participant, he scored a physical aggression of 0.14, which is below the average, a verbal aggression score of 0.5, a hostility of 0.41, and anger of 0.32. The independent and dependent variables. The independent variable for this experiment is the approximated time spent on all types of video games per weekend in hours. The dependent variable are all the categories from Bus-Parry Aggression Questionnaire, which are physical aggression, verbal aggression, hostility, and anger. Population and sampling space. The population used for this experiment was students in data management class of CPU in Taylor's College. The sampling space were the students from data management class that were randomly selected by using our number-generated randomizer app.
So this is the raw data we collected from the 7 participants. And their time spent on video games in hours are 6 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, 11 hours, 0 hours, 50 hours, and 6 hours every week. From this histogram, we can tell the frequency of time spent on video games of the 7 participants. Most of them spend around 6 to 11 hours on video games per week. But there are 2 participants who spend 0 and 50 hours per week, and which are significant from the other participants. So this is the result we collected from the 7 participants after they answered the aggression questionnaire. This column tells you the 4 categories: physical aggression, verbal aggression, hostility, and anger. And the row gives you the 7 participants. Data analysis histogram. This histogram shows the frequency of participants' physical aggression. Out of 7 participants, most of them have the PA in between 0.4 to 0.6. But there are 2 participants who have significantly lower PA, which are 0.08 and 0.17. And this histogram shows the frequency of participants' verbal aggression. Out of 7 participants, most of them have the VA in between 0.5 to 0.55. But there are 3 participants who have significantly lower VA, which are 0.35, 0.4, and 0.35. And this histogram shows the frequency of participants' hostility. Out of 7 participants, most of them have the hostility in between 0.4 to 0.7. But there are 2 participants who have lower hostility, which are 0.31 and 0.22. The last histogram shows the frequency of participants' anger. Out of 7 participants, most of them have the anger in between 0.2 to 0.4. But there are 3 participants who have high anger, which are 0.54, 0.71, and 0.54. Data analysis, linear graph. From this scatter plot, the trend of that term is not obvious. However, by finding the correlation coefficient R, which equals to 0.341, we can conclude that there is a moderate positive correlation between time spent on video games and physical aggression. From this scatter plot, the trend of that term is not obvious as well, but we still can tell there is a weak positive correlation between time spent on video games and verbal aggression, because the correlation coefficient R equals to 0.31. This scatter plot is time spent on video game versus hostility. By looking at the trend line and by finding the correlation coefficient R, which equals to 0.01, we can say that there is a very weak positive correlation or zero correlation between time spent on video game and hostility. And our last scatter plot is time spent on video game versus anger. By looking at the trend line and by finding the correlation coefficient R, which equals to negative 0.304, we can tell that there is a weak negative correlation between time spent on video games and anger. Bias. The most obvious bias in our study is response bias. Since this study wasn't anonymous, so people could have responded to the questionnaire with dishonesty. Maybe they don't want me to know their true aggression level, so they probably just answered the questionnaire with dishonesty. As well as the time spent on video games. That is something personal as well. So they might not give me the time that they really spent on video games, or they could have just forgotten the time they spent on video games. Conclusion. By analyzing those four scatter plots, it is not necessary to conclude that the longer time spent on video games will cause more aggression behaviors. But since the aggression was broken down in the questionnaire, I can still say there is a positive correlation between physical and verbal aggression versus time spent on video games. So it seems spend longer time on video games are more likely to cause physical and verbal aggression in our data management class. However, for hostility and anger, that doesn't seem like that case, that the longer time spent on video games will make it more hostility or anger in our data management class. Because aggression actually is a very abstract concept. It's very general, and it can be affected by various factors. For example, nature of the person. Maybe someone is just naturally aggressive, or the other way around. It also can be affected by their childhood, culture, history, religious, even mood, etc. But in conclusion, if you look at the result overall, you can still say that the video games might seem result more aggression behaviors for students in our data management class of CPU in Taylor's College. And this is the end of our presentation. Thank you.